Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOCast, episode 2. We're talking visits. We're talking Gaso Fall Tour. But first, I'm going to let y'all introduce yourself. I'm Gaso Mass. Blue?
I'm at Gaso Blue.
Mike?
Film Hoopers, Michael Timmons. What's going on?
At Gaso Linden.
We're back here. Episode 2 of the GASOCast, season 24 and 25. Not our actual season, 24 and 25. But you get it. But let's do some housekeeping before we get into it. The Gaso Fast Break, go ahead and subscribe. This week we're having my guys for the 25, 26, and 27 class who you would pick as number one. We don't usually go out and give our individual rankings, but this is kind of a fun one because there's a lot of debate in each class. I sent mine in to you yesterday, Lyndon. I'm gassed up to see what everybody else's take. Last week we had the media on, and they filled in wonderfully in the Gaso Fast Break. Brandon Jenkins, Antonio, and Craig Smith. Yeah, we're rolling. A Cup of Hoops will be back next week. Me and Blue will find something to talk about. Obviously, we got the Gaso Fall Tour on deck. Blue, you might have to hold that one down alone or invite a guest if I'm out.
Yep. And there'll be a lot of visits that are going to start happening here this coming weekend. So a lot of news to cover probably next week.
Yep. And then Recruiting Simplified newsletter coming out on Wednesday, 9 a.m. You can find that on my personal Twitter at GasoMass. If you want a recruiting edge on the other players in your class. But let's hop into it. Gaso Fall Tour coming up. We did have a date change. September 7th, we're in DFW. September 21st, we're in San Antonio. Followed on September 22nd by Gaso Next Gen. October 12th, we're back in DFW. And then October 13th, making a quick turnaround and heading to Houston all in one weekend. Really excited to get these things going. This is where kids start to separate. And I'm gonna that breathes us in really easily into this question. How do you make an early impression at the Gaso Fall Tour? Michael, I'm going to pass it to you first.
Yeah, for me, starting with the underclassmen, this will be a lot of kids' first shot at varsity, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. The biggest thing that I look for is just as easily as you can make a play, there's also plays on the floor where you can be like, okay, you might not be ready. So the physicality of it all. A lot of times with the underclassmen, I'm looking for, can you rebound at your position? Are you a liability on defense? Now, you don't have to be a game breaker, game stopper, but the less likely you are to be a liability, the more playing time you're going to be able to get earlier. So I'm not looking for the things you're probably good at. I just want to make sure that you can adapt to the physicality and speed of the game by rebounding in traffic and being strong with the ball and making good plays. And then for my upperclassmen, show me leadership. This is where we get really excited about those guys to take the next step, which we'll talk about in a bit. But show that next step of leadership, the confidence, being vocal on the court, doing all the things it takes to win. That's one of the things that jumps out for us in these fall events. A lot of times we've seen your skill set. We know what you are, but how do you affect winning at the next level? And that goes for a lot of the upperclassmen for us to see.
That's a good word, Mike. Lyndon?
Yeah, and it's a very similar point, but just finding what your role is and excelling at it. Not everybody is going to be given the keys to go out and try to go get 40. But whatever your role is, if you're a rim protector, if you're a floor spacer, if you're a defensive, minded player, finding a way to impact the game as many ways as possible and excelling within that role without trying to do too much. Because I've seen kids at these fall tournaments try to do too much and hurt their stock because they're forcing it a little bit. So just playing within themselves and finding that role that their coach is kind of giving them, that's a really good way to get on our radar as well as the college coaches.
Call Blue.
Kind of following the same lines here is just go out and play, right? I say that a lot, but I think it's very simple and probably something to really grasp to, because do the things that you are that you know that you can do to help the team win. And so also, like with the leadership role type stuff, these seniors these upperclassmen are going to be in a bigger role. Go out there and just play and be able to do those little things that maybe the underclassmen need to learn from you as a leader, and also to be able to do more than just scoring. Scoring obviously helps win basketball games, but on defensively, be a defender, be a rebounder, be that guy that's going to dive on the floor for that loose ball at the right time with seconds winding down. Don't be a liability out there, as somebody had already said. So I think there's just a lot here as it is early. Coaches have Lyndon been with their team for about maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that hasn't even been implemented yet. So there could be some freelancing and stuff, but don't try to do too much.
Love it. I'm going to be a little more technical here. Show me things that translate: shooting, decision-making, rebounding, toughness. If you can do those things, I mean, that's what college coaches are looking for. So I'm going to kind of echo that vibe when I'm evaluating players. And like Blue said, it is going to be early. Mistakes are going to be made. That's okay. You got to have a next play mindset. We do know it's visit season. And on the show, something Gaso's very passionate about is providing some sort of education and you taking something away from these podcasts more than just content. We want to give you actionable advice. And Mike came up with a great question. So what are some visit tips for players and families as we start this visit season during the fall? Mike, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, for me, it's to ask questions and don't just fall in love with the pitch and the wine and dine of it all. Obviously, you're on their recruiting board or you wouldn't be at campus. So make sure and don't just, enjoy yourself, let them, recruit you as they want to do, but also ask specific questions that you want answered. Because a lot of times I'll see and I'll ask kids or families how'd the visit go, and they're like, oh, it was awesome. This was great. This was great. This was great. But when you have to make real hard decisions about where you want to continue your college athletics and education, make sure you have some questions that you really want to answer, because all these visits are going to be great. You're going to have a good time. So really dive deep within your circle to decide what's important and what things you want answered from each school.
Lyndon?
Yeah, and kind of going off that, seeing the big picture about what is the grand plan for your recruitment. Where do you fit? What does it look like immediately, day one on campus? Am I going to be, fighting for a starting job? Is it more of a long-term project? Just figuring out that and where you kind of like basically where the coach pencils you in going into it, and trying to figure out that by asking questions, by talking to your future, potential teammates and that kind of thing, instead of just saying, oh, great, I'm on campus, I'm on this visit, and just kind of taking it without seeing the big picture.
I'm going to take this next one because Blue put in his notes, story time with Blue. So we're going to let him wrap up this segment. I'm going to go and say, hey, ask yourself, would I go to this school if basketball wasn't an option? And I know that's not realistic in every situation. Sometimes you have one offer to go play basketball and you want to go hoop. Totally understand that. But if you're trying to gain interest, if you're reaching out to tons of schools, like that's a question that you need to be asking. Would I go here if basketball wasn't an option? Because fit is so important. We're seeing so many transfers, and if we can mitigate the transfer rate just a little bit because you like the school, you have the major that you want to be out of college. There are so many things, so many factors that go into the college making process. And if we can mitigate some of those risks to make you happy regardless of what's going on in the basketball world, I think that's a really big deal. So ask yourself, would I go here if basketball wasn't an option for me? Blue, let's hear.
Yeah, and this is, I'm kind of piggybacking off of you a little bit here because, my story is a little bit different than all of y'all's, obviously, when picking a college. And when I rolled into Nacogdoches, I remember I'm coming off 20. I'm like, where am I? And that's what I chose to be. And even though I was a manager, I was still part of something. And the keys to this is that you don't give up right away, because you're going to build relationships, and those relationships turn into something bigger. And I would not trade those years for anything. I'm glad I went to Stephen F. Austin. And I think what happens is that we get so impatient is that, just because you're not getting the right amount of playing time, you're not, maybe, seeing all of the accolades that you had coming into your college career, you have to take a back seat for a while. But it's everything that goes along with it: the players' relationship, the community relationships, the coaches. You'll get your turn if you're patient. And I think even on your, even like Linda said and Michael, you're going to get everything thrown at you. And it's going to be the perfect setting, but you have to sit back and be patient and let all of that stuff develop. Because once you get on campus for real in a year from almost in a year from now in June, things are a little bit different. But put yourself in those scenarios, and I mean that's my experience with having to pick a college and be a part of a basketball team myself.
It's good
Love
work.
it.
Let's hone in on an event. We do have the Gas Fall Tour, September 7th. Dallas hyper focus. We do have some teams from a little bit out of the Metroplex, but by and large, it's a DFW focused event. And the topic we're going to cover here is called the jump. Who's making the jump? Who's a prospect that you're excited to see to kind of take those next step as being the guy? And it's going to unfold at the Gasso Fall Tour. Let's just go in order of the sheet here. Mike, you go first.
Yeah, this is two, and I think a couple of us have multiple players from backcourts. But Jalen Germany and the added Camden McGilvery at Crowley. So this Crowley team finishes seventh in their district, but I mean, when you're looking on paper, this backcourt is going to be explosive to watch, and I think they can make a lot of noise very quickly. A lot of times, going from seventh, it's a task to try to jump up there and make the top four in your district. But I think with what Crowley has coming in this season, especially with this backcourt, Camden McGilvery played with a lot of good guards with YGC, and same with Jalen Germany playing with high level talent at Fox Nation. I think these two fit perfectly together, and I think they're going to be very, very loud come September 7th at our Gasso Fall Tour date in Duncanville.
Yeah, throw in the Briggs brothers too, and you'll see the schedule that Crowley has been dealt. We've been working on that stuff this morning. That's a really fun watch. I'm really excited to see that group. I'm going to hop in here with Jackson Thompson and Dylan Watt of Dallas Greenhill. Both are just electric guards, and I said it this morning when we were working on the schedule. I was like, I just feel like these guys we can put them up against anybody, and they're going to go make plays, make things happen. I saw them at TABC, and they were doing a half court, 3/4 court, 1-2-2, trying to push the tempo so those guards have more possessions. Really, really fun guards that just can get it done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they've gotten better.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to jump in here with Parker Overstreet for Wiley East, because I think not only he can make the jump, but that program can kind of make the jump this year after the noise they made towards the tail end of last season. With his quickness and lead guard abilities, I think he's got a very high ceiling, and I think he's going to command a lot of attention going into this season.
James Sanderson from Frisco Emerson, I mean, this is his team, right? I mean, we have Noah Hill, who left, at break last year. Keontae Gray Bear is no longer there. So James Sanderson has all the tools and all the makeup that you want to be your lead guy, on both sides of the ball, the defensive and the offensive sides there. And I really want to see how he's going to, as a young, 2026 guy, how he's going to be able to take this this program and really put it out there statewide. It's a tough task, but I think that he's definitely was a player that just had shown so much growth over the past year, and so I want to see where he's at now as the leader of this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, Austin Gooseby. They return some players, but then they also get some freshmen, some dynamic freshmen, including Trey Edwards coming in. And I think that's all Austin Gooseby needs to really turn this into a chance to win a lot of games this season. The lazy analysis and some of the media like to throw the word out pro, and I'm not quick to do that, but I'm quicker to think it when I see Austin Gooseby play. So I'm excited to see him have some talent around him where he doesn't have to be the absolute guy for all 32 minutes in a game. And I think that's going to elevate his stock even more. And he's just electric. And when you're talking about us getting a 3-week break, I'm ready to get back to the gym because of guys like Austin Gooseby in the state of Texas.
No doubt. He put on a show at TABC, like one for the ages, where he was the talk of the town up on the top. It was pretty cool. I'm going to go with Braden Jones and AJ McPeters of Louisville. Louisville was really, really good last year. They completely reloaded. This Braden Jones, I didn't get to catch him at TABC, but he had over 100 points, I believe, in 3 games. AJ McPeters is finally healthy. I caught Louisville last year at the tail end of the season when he wasn't fully healthy. I've always really liked him, think he does a lot well. And this is his team that I'm just very interested to see and kind of see how the next page of this new Louisville looks. Coach Martin always gets it done, always has 20-win seasons. And I expect that to continue, and I'm really excited to see these 2 guards make plays for Louisville. And they have some young freshmen who I'm very excited about. Who we'll see soon.
I did talk to Toby Martin yesterday, and he said, "Get us to January." He's excited about this team, so I'm glad we get to see him early.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One guy who was really, really good the last time we saw him in our final event, Ethan Sheets from Denton. Just the ability to just kind of dominate games from the front court on both ends, be a physical paint presence who can go get buckets with his back to the basket or the dunker spot, and then kind of just be a more versatile defender who can also protect the rim. There's a lot to like there. There's a lot of people interested in him right now. And I'm interested to see what kind of pieces they can have around him with this Denton team this year.
Yeah, Zach Brown, 2025 out of Amarillo. I think all 4 of us here are going to be in agreement that we love to see Amarillo play. And their style is so unique, and everything is just run exactly the way Jason Pillion likes it out there on the court. And so you look at Zach Brown, because so many their success has been because of multiple players from each of their graduation years over the past 2, 3, 4 years. And as they leave, here's Zach Brown, who has won a lot of games at Amarillo. In Region 1 and 5A is not an easy task when you have Timberview and Summit and Argyle as you go down the stretch of the playoffs. And so right here is where Zach Brown, who's one of the best looking shooters in the state of Texas, great looking shot. You think it's always going in, and just the headiness of the entire team. But how's Zach Brown going to take this team and get him to continue to play at that high level? And I think it also starts also on the sideline with the coaches. But Zach is going to have some weight to carry, and I look forward to seeing him this weekend to see how he starts that transition of his senior year.
As you can tell, we're very excited about the Gasso Fall Tour. That schedule drop will be coming when? Blue Friday, Saturday, soon?
Thursday. We're trying to
maybe Thursday night. And the last thing I'll say is that for those that may be new to Gasso or still new to the space, just remember that we're more than just running the event. Like, we appreciate all the media that come to our events and cover it, but we are media ourselves, and we are able to do both at a very high level. So this list is just a small little taste of coverage that we're going to be giving all day long on September 7th and after the event. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, make sure and go follow us. That's a good plug, Mike.
Here's a quick little story.
Go.
Well, let me jump in here real quick, Mass, because this goes along with one of my conversations with the high school coach yesterday. He said that he had a bag. He was going to go take his team to one event, and he's like, he called up that coach that's holding the scrimmage. He goes, "We're going to Gasso." He goes, next time, maybe next year, you go the week before Gasso. He goes, "Well, what makes the difference?" He said, "You're not going to have Gasso is the media coverage." And I think that kind of just brought a little smile to my face, even though we're not trying to compete with any other high schools if they want to have a shootout. But we, like Michael said, we are our media. We're not just the event directors. We're not just piecing this together with 108 teams, 107 teams. We're going to be covering the event.
Yeah, it'll be really high level. We're really excited. Make sure you're following us. We have a ton of content coming out soon. We took our break and we're gearing back up because fall is here. We're super excited. And as for Lyndon, Blue, and Mike, we'll see you next time.